What is the deal with garlic?
5 or 10 minutes. You're supposed to leave it for 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, it's that fine.
I can't get it off.
Is my hair a mess?
Yeah, no. I think he says, yeah, all right.
Is my hair a mess? Yes.
No,
yes, it is.
No, it's not. Yeah, except now it's not like, it's like...
Oh, no, it's not like that.
Before
You're all like, what's
it was
that?
like a double record. The man was walking on a beach in a coat that you would wear in Alaska.
It was like...
You can go.
I don't know what I'm saying. Sort of switch that flick in you.
Yeah.
Switch that flick.
Flick that switch.
Flick that switch.
Yes. It is our chair of truth. No jive here, baby. Oh no. Only the truth. Happiness.
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 We're from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've done. I'm sorry if that was awful. Welcome everyone to episode 118.
And this is a very special goodbye to January episode. Folks, we couldn't be happier to say goodbye to January.
Yes.
I hope yours was wonderful.
I don't approve of January.
Because ours was not.
Oh, it's just a bit rubbish, isn't it?
Just, you know, we're certainly not going to dwell because that's not what we're about, people.
Lots of reasons,
But I
really.
think, I mean, and it was highlighted. These don't get any easier, let me tell you.
No.
By a consultant's visit.
Yeah, no, they don't get any easier.
And she had to check over some things, but it's now nearly a month afterwards, and we've heard nothing.
And you've got your next appointment date through, so...
So, you know, touch wood.
Thank you. Here's wood.
They certainly don't get any easier. And, you know, I think that probably, you know, there was lots of other reasons as well, but something, and, you know, we know this, but it's easy to forget this. Happiness is, I mean, it must be 99.9% state of mind.
Yeah, I think so.
Because our turnaround began last week, I think, on what was all through 2018 and now into 2019 we've been filming a special series called Quest for the Perfect Cuppa.
Yeah.
And we went out on a visit, and I don't want to say any spoilers, but it was pretty darn epic.
Oh, it was lovely.
And that for me was the turnaround. And then, you know, it makes you start to look at the world, just some positive interactions.
Yeah.
Just a positive experience.
Yeah,
and suddenly...
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just a cup of tea and a scone in a farm shop, and, you know, we didn't expect it to be any great shakes, did we?
No, not at all.
But do you know what? It was lovely, and the whole experience was really nice, wasn't it?
It was, and that started, I think, our upturn. And then we also... Do you know what? I think sometimes what you have to do to change your... Mood's the wrong word. It's so easy, isn't it? All of us have more mental baggage than even we realise. Yeah. And every one of us is different.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to slip. You know, we were just saying, weren't we, the other day? Oh, well, weren't we? Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, we were.
And then in 24 hours, it turned on its head, I think. Yeah,
just by doing something kind of different and something unexpected happening that really wasn't a major thing. It was a really small thing, you know, but it can be a really small thing, can't it?
And that then starts you down the path.
That can just sort of switch that flick in your...
Yeah.
Switch that flick.
Flick that switch.
Flick that switch.
Yes.
In your brain.
Yes. And it's like, you know, it wasn't even a fork in the road, because they say that, don't they, you know, in your life. There's forks in the road all the time, and which side are you going to take? Well, that was a fork in the road that we didn't even realise was a fork in the road. You know, we just took the path, life took us down that road, and then suddenly, and we took another decision that was totally out. It's just something that we just don't do, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
To see Back to the Future.
Oh, it's not the cinema.
But
It's not the cinema.
Yes, I realise that. Look, for people to understand what we're talking about...
This is so exciting.
It's a concert hall with a huge screen in it. So for the purposes of our visit, it is going to be a cinema. And it links in so unbelievably beautifully with what's going to happen in today's The Baker Bears Picture Show. That's, of course, to come later. But what are we going to do, Kay?
We are going to see Back to the Future, the first film performed live with the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra doing the music. Oh my word. Dan saw this. I don't even know where you saw it, this performance.
Would you believe it? I saw it on Facebook.
Oh gosh,
a Facebook advert came up.
Something good came out of Facebook.
Well, I've got to say, on a personal note, recently Facebook has been nothing but good. I don't spend a lot of time on social at all. But
no, that's true.
Anyway,
actually.
There's this advert, and I'm like,
he came downstairs.
I looked at it, and do you know what? Normally, in a situation like that, because we never do things like this.
No,
because we are very private people. We're very shy people. And we just don't do things like this.
No.
And I looked at it and I just thought, life's too short.
He came downstairs and he said to me, look at this. I said, what?
And I didn't say anything more.
No, and I just went, oh. I said, what, it's the film? And like, there's an orchestra playing all the music. And you went, yeah. And I said, I said, are there any tickets left? Because we didn't know when this had gone up. And actually, it went up last October.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that there was any tickets left.
Well, I think what they're doing is they're doing a final push to try and sell the tickets out.
There weren't many tickets left at all. No. And I looked, and there was different levels of ticket.
And we got some. We got some, which is brilliant.
Yeah, we got some tickets, and it's in the... What's it called down there? Is it the stalls?
It's the stalls, darling.
I don't know. I'm not a theatre person.
Stalls, so. Dress circle, upper circle, gods, boxes.
Right. Do they have up in the gods in that one though? No, because it's not high enough, is it?
That's correct.
Yeah. Straight away I was like, well, it's an evening performance. You know, it's probably an hour away where we're going. And I was like, oh no, we can't do that. But then I said, hang on a minute, Bryony's 13, going on 14 now. She can have a late night.
Of course she can.
She loves Back to the Future. And because at first we were going to wait till she got home from school and
she also loves music. You know,
she loves orchestra music.
Yes, so we knew that was a winner. So you said book it.
So I said, you know what, let's just book it. And we made this decision within about 5 minutes, didn't we? And we never do that.
Within 5 minutes of seeing the advert, we'd book tickets.
We never ever do that. I just said, you know what, let's book it. So what if she has a late night?
It should be really cool.
We're really, really excited.
Yes, it will be amazing. You know, I said to Kay, you know, you gave me the opportunity to go see Back to the Future just at the cinema.
Yeah,
I would be there.
I would go. Yeah, there's certain films you would go back to the cinema to see, isn't there?
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There really is.
Yeah.
But then you had an orchestra playing the music live. Well,
yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I'd walk over hot coals to see that.
I know.
Oh my goodness!
We're so excited.
So what that just, you know, what, and that again, that wasn't a conscious decision. You know, we didn't say, oh my goodness, this year's been tough already. Let's do something. But just by, you know, being in the moment and making those types of decisions, suddenly then you're going into February and everything just feels great.
Lighter, and you know, and January is such a dark time weather-wise, isn't it? And I do think that plays its part in, because I know a lot of people suffer with sort of these feelings during the dark winter months.
Something that you have done this month, and I, you know, my goodness, I know we've spoken about this before, but my goodness, the best thing that you can do is get outside.
Yeah.
Move your legs, or not, you know, however you get outside, just get outside, because, you know, being outside with your head up, listening to the birds, and
absolutely.
You've been walking. It's been. I'm so proud of you, and I know how much. I can't imagine how much worse you would have felt in January had you not been doing the things you've been doing. Yeah,
I have been getting out. Some days I don't manage it for one reason and another.
It's
and
life,
I know, but I really feel it when I don't you know, we both went for a walk yesterday, didn't we? Because you said, oh, you know, let's both go. And
I asked permission. Can I come with you?
Yeah, because the thing that really that I've been loving is I got Audible. I subscribed to Audible, and I've tried this before, and for some reason just couldn't get my head around it. But I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have another go. And but I wanted to be able to listen to books whilst I was walking, and I didn't think you could do that with Audible. But actually, you can. You download it. I don't know, but you can do it. You can download it to your phone, can't you?
Yeah.
And I've been doing that, and I've been listening to a book whilst I've been out walking, and it's just been brilliant because I can still hear. You know, I haven't got earphones that completely block out sound. I can still hear nature and everything that's going on.
But I think it's good that you can still hear, you know.
Yeah, because I'm crossing roads and things like that. So it's good to be sort of aware, you know, not to be too cut off from traffic and things. Yeah.
But, you know, I think that the thing that we've learned, and, you know, perhaps we knew already, but it's easy to forget, is happiness.
We're from Yorkshire.
Yeah. Kay sent me a text yesterday and she accidentally put me instead of my. So look, February's here and we are beyond enthused. And we're beyond enthused because it's starting to feel like the year's beginning to get going.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we did our first picture show, and thank you all so much, you know, for all the comments that we've had about that. It is back today for its second. There's only 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. You know,
then we'll be into new adventures, won't we?
No, Pudding Club.
Oh, Pudding Club.
Pudding Club first.
Pudding Club.
Yes, but that's to come. That's to come.
Oh, I'll have to get my thinking cap on.
Yes. So, Baker Bear's picture show, and Stan and Ollie opened doors for us. So join us today in an episode where we begin to explore the history of cinema.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it.
Jaw on the floor.
Yeah, it's not just a visit to the pictures this time.
And I'm saying jaw on the floor because we have found things out that we never knew.
About our town.
And it's just wonderful.
And we will show you.
History is, all history is superb, but sometimes the best history is the stuff that's within touching distance.
Yeah. And, you know, it's things that we've walked past a million times.
And not known what they were and thought, what's that?
Yeah.
It's all to come later. Don't miss it. I know you won't.
Exciting.
Yes. Oh, yes, it is. Neil, one of the other reasons why January has been tough is, what is the deal with garlic? Could someone please tell me? Look, I've been trying to eat well. And why is it when you go vegetarian or vegan or anything slightly out of the ordinary, people go crazy with the garlic?
Yeah, we're talking about things that you've been buying on.
Yes.
Yeah, like sort of...
I purchase fresh salad things for my lunch. You know, stuff that I can put together and turn into something exciting.
Got like grains and you know, all sorts of stuff in it.
All sorts. And I bought something the other day that must have had 50 million cloves of garlic in it.
Gosh.
It was abysmal.
It absolutely stank.
It was just a little tiny noodle salad. But it's not just that, because there's other things too.
Yeah,
you know, it just seems... Because what I found is, and you know, I urge you all to try this, although garlic's perfectly fine for you, and at the end of the day,
it's very good for you, garlic, isn't it?
Everyone in your house...
But the thing is, that's it.
Everyone has to eat it.
That's it. You all have to have it, don't you? Otherwise...
Because if they don't,
you really
you're a smelly.
You really notice it. So it is really good for you, and we know that. But obviously the downside of it is you absolutely... Oh, it's awful, isn't it?
The other issue that I had with that particular... thing was it was a noodle salad, was it gave me, I had serious problems with my tummy afterwards.
You had really bad indigestion, kind of, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was.
I've eaten
and there was
noodles.
nothing bad in it at all.
Could it just have been an overload of garlic?
Well, it might have been, I think. Yeah, it
Look,
could be.
chefs, pull back on the garlic.
And I'm not even going to start about black pepper.
Don't
even start me on that.
Why is it you go in the supermarket and you think, oh, look at that posh soup, that posh fresh soup
buy soup
up
anymore.
on the shelf. I know, I'll try that. So you buy it, everything looks lovely, it smells great. You put it in the pan, it looks gorgeous. You know, wonderful colours, you serve it out and all you taste is cracked black pepper.
And I think, the answer obviously to all of this is that you make your own. But that's fine in an ideal world, isn't it?
Oh, my
but we
goodness.
don't all have the time to make every single
make our
bit
tea
of every
every
single
day.
meal. No, I know we do, yeah. But that's what I'm saying, you know, you don't have the time to hand make
Every meal.
every single bit of every meal. And, you know, buying a fresh soup off the shelf.
We
you
eat
should-
zero processed foods.
No, we don't. So
why is it what we do touch?
yeah. And occasionally, you know, occasionally we'll have like sausages. Bryony really likes sausages, and sausages are the worst thing for cracked black pepper.
Yeah.
You know, put in white pepper, I'm absolutely fine with that. But no, everything has to have black pepper.
Because
tons of it.
It ruins the flavour. You end up with something that just tastes of pepper.
Spicy and
Although, do you remember those sausages that we had in that pub that time? What was the herb?
they were Italian.
What was the herb that was in it? Was it fennel?
Yes, there was fennel.
Oh my
fennel in it.
goodness!
Oh, I didn't like those at all.
It was the loveliest place that we used to go to. We had lovely meals, wasn't it? It was gorgeous. And we went and they changed everything, and it was like a set.
Yeah.
So we all.
But it was just sausage and mash.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. You know, you expect a traditional pork sausage, don't you? It wasn't that. It was. And I think people think that. The more things they add into it, the better it is. Well, it's not, is it? It's less is more.
And you know, if we're talking about the things which have made our January
Turning
frustrating,
into a right old rant, isn't it?
what is the deal with kitchen towel rails? They're these things which they're brilliant. In the idea is superb, and
It's just these suction things that stick to the side of your, you know, whatever in your kitchen and on the side of a unit, and you pop your tea towels in it.
Yes.
Oh no, they just keep falling off. They just keep falling off. They won't stay put.
And what was funny the other day? Oh, it's one of them.
One of them stays,
the other one
but then
stays.
one of them ends up with 25 tea towels in it.
And then the other one, it was really funny the other day. I went to stick the tea towel in, and Kate stuck it the wrong way round. So I put it on.
I put it back.
And the tea towel was stuck to the sticky bit, and the bit that's supposed to take the tea towel was stuck to the wall.
Oh gosh, honestly,
It was brilliant.
the traumas.
Yes, I know. So you can see why we're thrilled. It's February. Now, what everyone needs for a high quality year of entertainment
Yes.
is a high quality knit along.
Oh yes.
And we discovered something, let me tell you. Now, I don't know how global this is, but
Oh really?
when we were young, there was an album that used to come out.
And there still is.
Yeah, except now it's not like, it's like...
Oh no, it's not like that.
Before
You're all
it
like, what's
it
that?
was like a double record.
Double
I
record.
remember.
I had some of these double
Pictures.
records. Took them to the school disco in about 1986.
Right. Well, it was called, now that's what I call music.
I
And,
think we've all got one of these somewhere, haven't we?
well, I never did, because I had the other one. Do you remember? I looked it
Hits.
up.
You had hits.
Yes. Well, I didn't. I never had any of them. My brothers had them,
Right.
and I borrowed them off my brothers.
Right.
But now that's what I call music. Was the sort of thing that everyone had, or something similar, and you loved it because it had on all your favourite songs from that year. It was amazing. And we're perusing through the channels, and suddenly I see the logo now. And I went to it, and it's a whole channel of hits.
Yeah,
And-
from the Now albums.
and-
it was an 80s one.
Oh
wasn't
my
it?
goodness. DeBarge.
Wham and Duran Duran and...
And then Michael McDonald with his huge coat
Oh,
on.
that's a great video. That's a fantastic...
I
Bryony was just like, what is going on with these videos? I said, look, it's the 80s. You've just got to accept that music videos were...
And no one, I would defend the musicality of Michael McDonald and the whole of the Doobie Brothers gang to anyone, because they are superb, but that video was atrocious.
Oh, terrible.
The man was walking on a beach in a coat that you would wear in Alaska.
It was like, what's going on?
It was insane, but brilliant.
Brilliant.
So, now that's what I call music got us thinking. It got us thinking,
Yes.
or it got you thinking.
It did.
About a knit along.
I said, oh, do you know what? We could replace the music with the word knitting.
Now that's what I call knitting.
I said, oh my word, we could have a knit along, couldn't we?
Yes, we could.
We're totally going to have a knit along. And do you know what? It's starting now.
Yes.
Because it's now.
Yes.
That's what I call knitting. So
Yes.
we're starting it now.
Yes.
And very simple. Basically, the idea is that you knit something, whatever you want. You can knit anything you like. but it should be themed around a favourite song.
Now, we're going to go more specific because we grew up with music from the 80s.
We're going full on 80s.
We are indeed. And have you settled on your song?
I haven't. Oh, on the song?
Yes.
No, I don't think I have fully settled.
Right.
I'm erring towards Aha.
Yes.
Because the video's fabulous.
Let's Take On Me.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And I'm erring towards some kind of pair of socks with the kind of black and white thing, but then maybe some neon, because it's the 80s.
Right.
But no, I haven't fully decided yet.
I'm going level 42, Something About You.
Yes.
Because that was my song of the 80s. I mean, I've loved it. Always loved that song. So
great band.
It had a clown in it, that video, and it had like a stately home in it as well, and like a posh car.
Like every music video should have a clown and a stately home.
There's lots of colours going on.
Right.
So, but I'm thinking a hat, maybe.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm so into this.
But yeah, so you can knit anything you like. You can have works in progress. So if you've got something on the go at the minute that makes you think of your favourite song, then by all means carry on knitting that thing, and that can be your entry.
Yes.
You don't have to finish it. You know, we want to just make this just a bit of, fun. Let's just have some fun.
Yes.
And let's choose that favourite song that makes you smile, that makes you happy, and knit something that is going to remind you of that song. So it can be inspired by anything you like. It can be the words in the song, it can be the video, it can be the colours in the video, absolutely anything.
What I'm most excited about is the conversations which will be spawned off what you're knitting and why you're knitting it. Yeah. So please come and share what
let us know. So I'll open the chat. There'll be a chatter thread open now. So go along and let us know what it is that you're going to be knitting, and I'll open an FO thread as well, and we're going to run it from now until the end of March. So you've got about 7 weeks-ish.
And I expect your song linked in the thread.
What if people can't link? I'm terrible at linking.
Well, if you can't link, don't worry. Just say what it is and we'll go look.
Just tell
but
us
if you can link, you know where you just copy the YouTube video and put it in the thread, so we can all go and enjoy. Because
because that'll be really fun.
Well, it will. We've had the What's on Your Stereo thread. That's live. But this is a knit along focused aura music, and I'm looking forward.
You see, now I'm thinking I might go Nick Kershaw.
Oh, right, okay.
Just suddenly had a Nick Kershaw moment then.
Right.
Oh, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Oh, 80s. Bring back the 80s, I say.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was the decade. Oh, yes. Back to the Future. Yeah. Star Warses.
Yeah.
All sorts of amazing things. So please.
Rah-rah skirts.
Oh, yes.
I think a rah-rah skirt.
It's time that we brought them back, I think.
I love rah-rah skirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, we've been talking about knitting.
We have.
But I think it's time that we found out.
Yes.
Kay Jones, what's on your needle?
Oh, right. Let me get it out of my lovely bag. I've started a new blanket.
Yes.
Now, the past sort of couple of months, I've been doing a lot of designing. I've got a big design project on the go, and I've really been doing a lot. And I got to the point where I think I was just doing too much, and I started to feel a bit unwell. So I did.
Seriously, folks.
I did.
Kay was inspired last year to do something that has slowly but surely built and built and built,
and
it's just been a bit nuts. And
and
I was concerned I was just concerned when you brought up the initial idea, because it was like so vast. But
I know, but
she's like rocking it.
Yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm just having a little break from it, because I just recognised in myself that I wasn't feeling right at all, and this was another January thing. So I spoke to you about it, and you said you need to have a break, put it down. So I did. I packed everything away to do with that particular project in a basket, and I moved it away, and I thought, right, okay, do you know what? I'm just going to knit some things that are going to bring me some joy, because that's what we should do at the end of the day, shouldn't we? But everybody does it, don't they, at times, that you're working on something for whatever reason that maybe is putting a bit of pressure on you. So I thought, right, okay, I know what I'm going to do, and I got so excited about it.
She was so excited that she just couldn't hide it. Now that's what I call music. I know.
Gosh, honestly, what you like. So yeah,
What you like.
I decided to start a new blanket, and I've started another Bits and Bobs blanket, which is one of my patterns. And I did actually start another Bits and Bobs a few months ago. I don't know if you remember.
The background colour was all wrong though, wasn't it?
The background colour was wrong. It was just wrong. And I knit about this much on it. And I got to the point, I said, you know what, this is just not right. So I cast it off at that point, and that was that. But I just suddenly remembered how I felt working on my first Bits and Bobs, which is here. I brought it down. This is my first Bits and Bobs blanket.
Look at that.
Probably recognised from the pattern.
Used
it is
every day.
Yes, pretty much every day this is in use, and it's huge. It's, you know, it goes from here and it goes all the way across, and then it keeps going and it keeps going. I thought, you know what, I just remembered how much I loved working on this. I thought, I'm going to knit another one. And the thing that sometimes stops me knitting something for a second time is I think, oh, there's so much else out there, isn't there, that I haven't knit before. But sometimes it's not about knitting something new, it's just about knitting something that will bring you...
Yeah, sunshine.
Yes,
all the
it's
while.
going to make you smile, and it's going to go... Every time I pick this up, I go, oh, that's so lovely. And that's just the best feeling, isn't it? Because it's just, this is the most therapeutic, relaxing knit I've ever done, I'll be honest. It really is. So I planned in my head, I thought I know exactly what I'm going to do. I wanted, this time I'm just going to do a single colour background, because I used 4 colours, I believe, in the background for the first one. I'm going to do a single colour background. I want it to just be very pale, the background, and then all of my colours I want to be really pretty, nothing dark. I just want light colours, I want speckles, I want really pretty colours, lots of pink. This is going to be heavy on the pink, I will warn you now. And I got started. So I didn't have any of the background colour that I wanted. I knew what I wanted, and I didn't have any. So I ordered it, so I had to wait about 3 days because I ordered...
Oh, isn't life hard?
Oh, it was awful. I ordered it on... I started knitting it last Friday, and the yarn came on on Thursday afternoon, so I thought, right, no, I'll wait until Friday when I can wind it and, you know, set some time aside. But I had a few days, obviously, when I'd ordered it and it hadn't arrived. I'm like, oh, I really want to start it, and I just couldn't. So it just made the starting of it even better. So the background yarn that I chose is Cascade Heritage, and it's in the snow colourway, and I've used this before as the borders on my Crochet scrappy granny square blanket. Do you remember that? This was the colour that I used on the borders for that. So it's just a cream, but it's not... I am using the bright white version of this in something else, and this is just like an off-white, but it's just such a lovely... It does look like snow. It's just a really nice warm white. I'm holding it up, it just looks like white. But trust me, it isn't bright white, it's an off-white. It's really lovely. So the colour is snow. And actually I ordered it from Wool Warehouse, and they only had 3 skeins, and I needed 5. I thought, right, I'll order the 3 skeins. That will, you know, see me through quite a long time, and hopefully by then they'll get it back in stock and I can order 2 more. So I love Cascade Heritage, and I could have just used, at first I thought I'll just use some undyed yarn. You know, I've got plenty of undyed yarn in my stash, kind of, you know, ready to dye up, and I'll just use that. But I know from having used this Cascade Heritage before that it's just so lovely and soft and squishy and bouncy. I really just wanted to use this, so I thought, no, I'll wait, I'll order it, I'll be patient. And then I cast on, like I said, last Friday. And this is where I'm up to. Oh my goodness.
Wow, goodness, that looks snowy.
So pretty.
I think that looks snowy.
Do you think it looks snowy?
Yeah,
Oh,
I love that background colour.
I love it so much. It's just, oh, it's just the best.
I like the look of that one even more than...
So do I,
Yeah.
actually. So do I, yeah, I know. And I'm working on this now thinking, oh, I wish I'd done this for the actual pattern one. But you know, this is the joy of this pattern. There's so many different options. So, I mean, like I said, this is where I'm up to. I'm working it exactly to the pattern. So I've cast on the exact number of stitches that's in the pattern. And so far I started with, can you see the speckly and then the lemony colour? That's the two yarns that I used in my Rhapsody socks. So this yarn is from Kelly at Lay Family Yarns, and the bottom one is the Bohemia colourway. And then the lemony yellow is the, you know, the golden colour mini that came with it. So I thought, right, I'm going to start with that. That's beautiful. And then I've just gone into, I'm nearly finished with this one, which is a Hedgerow Yarns mini that I've had for ages. Just a 20 gram mini. And I've only got this much left. So I'm nearly, I mean, really, I couldn't quite get to the end of that this morning. So that bit's nearly finished. But what I thought would be fun, where did I put them? Here they are. When I was designing this blanket, I did several swatches that have since become sort of little blankets for Bryony, just to try out, mainly actually to try out the border, because I wanted to get that spot on. So I worked up a few little sort of swatches. This was one that I did.
I like the border on that.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it? I love this one. This one is, yeah, it's self-striping yarn. I think it was a West Yorkshire Spinners self-striping yarn with just a pink sparkly, I think it's one of my hand-dyed, pink sparkly background, and then I used the same pink to border it. This one was a dark red mohair, held, you know, with various fingering weights. But that's, it was a Rowan Kid Silk Haze, so that's a mohair version, which I think is lovely as well. This was when I was kind of deciding on what I wanted to do with the background yarn. And then this one is Goffy's blanket. If anybody knows Goffy, listen to me. If anyone knows Goffy, Goffy is Bryony's very precious giraffe. And Goffy is this colour when she's clean, which is not very clean, but these are the colours of Goffy. So with this one, I held a mohair again. This was just a cream Kid Silk Haze, and the yarn that goes with it is a DK weight. I found, it was just an acrylic, I think, but I found this yarn that looked like Goffy. So I thought, right, I'll try that as well. So this is a DK weight held with a Kid Silk Haze. So there's so many options really that, I mean, if you wanted to have a look, then there's lots of projects on Ravelry. There's hashtag, if you look on the hashtag on Instagram, Bits and Bob's Blanket, you'll see lots of different versions as well. I do get a few questions on the blanket. I think one of the questions I get quite a lot is, how much yarn does it take? You know, how far will like a 20 gram mini go in the blanket? This was a 20 gram mini. And I've cast on exactly what the pattern tells you to cast on. You can see the amount here. A 20 gram mini will give you just short of 2 inches knitted fabric on your finished blanket. So I think that's a really good amount. It's plenty to be able to really see the colours in the blanket, and it gives you a nice chunk of it to see. But likewise, you know, if you only had a 5 gram scrap left over, you can pop that in and you just get a little thin line. You know, whether you've got bunches of 20 gram minis you want to use. I know someone's knitting one I saw recently where she's using sort of 40 grams of a leftover yarn and gets a really nice sort of big chunk, which is also beautiful. And then one of the other things that people say is that I've had a few messages and they say, I've cast it on, but it doesn't look like yours looks, where it's poofy. You probably can't tell, but it's very squishy and it stands out. It's very 3-dimensional, I think is what I want to say. You can probably see how 3-dimensional it is. And they say it doesn't look like that. It will look like that. You just need to knit, getting on for an inch. Once you've knit about an inch, all of a sudden it becomes that 3-dimensional fabric. So if you cast on and you've only knit a couple of rows and you think that doesn't look like the picture, just keep going and it will. You know, there's no worries at all. And I'm using my favourite needles, which at the moment they seem to be my favourite needles, and it's Higher Bamboo. And I actually bought a fixed circular for this. It's 32 inch, because I didn't want to, because this is a long-term project, I didn't want to tie up my interchangeables, because it's a size that I use a lot. It's 4mm. So I treated myself to some new higher bamboos. So the next colour I'm going to put in, I've got these lovely minis from River Knits, and they're BFL 4-ply, and I've got all these lovely pretty shades. So these will be going in. And I think at the minute I'm thinking about doing alternate speckly and then a solid, speckly and then a solid. So I might do that. I mean, that might look really nice, might it?
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking of doing a pink border. It has an I-cord border that you do afterwards, and I'm definitely thinking I'm going to do that pink as well. And that's my bits and bobs. So I think that's everything I wanted to say.
Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dan Jones,
Yes.
what's on your needles? Oh my goodness.
I'm knitting. Look, I'm knitting. Well, of course I am. It's the Cascades by Michelle Wong. And I've knit through the rib. It
Finally.
took me a month.
Sorry.
And it gave me elbow ache and everything. But, you know...
It was traumatic.
It was traumatic. I got to the actual pattern, and I think I'm 3 rows into the pattern, and you can just start to make out what's going on. And I must say, I mean, look at the amount of stitch markers.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. And I would say, when I initially looked at this pattern, I remember, and I think I might have even said it to all of you, that it said here, skill level 4 out of 5. And I remember looking at it in my uneducated self.
Yeah, well, me too, actually.
And thinking, that doesn't look like a 4 out of 5. Well, let me tell you, it is. And the positives are many, because I feel like I'm learning loads, because I'm doing masses of stitches which I've never done before. I've never done double moss stitch before, and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's not particularly tricky. I've never done the types, though, of twisted stitches, which are in this pattern, where you're actually knitting into the back of the second stitch and then doing other interesting things. And that's just one, you know, that's just one of the stitches. There's loads. I mean, what's funny is when I look at the chart, I now have my own way of remembering it. So that's the fishy swimming towards me. That's the fishy swimming away from me. And that's what I say sometimes out loud. Fishy swimming towards me. And then I know to go and look.
Because it's only charted, isn't it, this?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I really like how it looks. I feel like I'm learning loads. And I'm enthused by it. At no point have I thought, you know... I mean, I made one stupid mistake. And I made the stupid mistake because I've never done anything before which started purl. You know, the ribbing started... purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. I've always knit, purl. And because of that, you find yourself, you slip into a routine, it's what you expect. So when you get a purl knit, I ended up starting a part of the repeat and my yarn was in the wrong place. So I created a yarn over and I got through 47 stitches of challenging twists and cables. And then I realised, I counted my stitches back to, I mean, you know, there's a lot of stitch markers, as I've said, and I'm actually grateful for that because it enables you to constantly check your work, which I've been doing. And that's a big learning thing for me, actually. Yeah. And I'm glad I've been doing that because if I hadn't, I would have, you know, created a big hole. Oh. So spotted it, which was great. I just wasn't capable. You know, it frustrates me because I want to be capable. And, you know, you look at it and you think, should I just try and do it? But then because my tension is quite hot, that then would have resulted in a high probability of a big ladder. And then, so, you know, so there's been a lot of soul searching gone on with this project already. And I'm only that far through.
You did think, didn't you? You did say to me at some point, I think I'm being too overambitious.
Yeah, I thought perhaps.
And you look really downtrodden when you said it. He did. He was like,
can you see how tough our January's been? And it's all the Cascades' fault. It's not.
It's just knitting.
It's just knitting.
It's just knitting.
At no point I felt frustrated, and but it doesn't matter because
you persevered.
You fixed it. Even I identified what the problem was, and I'm really glad that I understood what the problem was. And I did that prior to passing it over to Kay. And then Kay then got it back and fixed it for me, and I've carried on, and I've not made a mistake again. There are, though, some issues. And it's just the way the pattern's written. Oh my goodness. Look, the problem... I like a pattern, I don't know about you, I like a pattern that flows. And for a pattern to flow, there shouldn't be a lot of flicking, should there?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be like constantly flicking backwards and forwards. So if early on in the pattern, you're referring to something, and sometimes it's something which is only 7 stitches long, you would expect that pattern to have that nearby, not like 7 pages further on in. And so I'm here, and then I'm flicking all the way to here.
Even if you'd got it on you
well, you'd be doing that.
You'd be
doing that.
Yeah, scrubbing.
And then the other problem is, I can't obviously show you because it's a painful pattern, it's an expensive pattern. The other problem that you have is you've got the charts on this page oriented vertically, and then over on this page you've got the legend which is oriented horizontally. So you're going like this. So I'm going, and then I'm going like this, and then I'm going like this, and it is unbelievably frustrating. I mean, like, tear your hair out. Oh my goodness. I'm just so grateful that the garment looks so great. Now, the thing that is so massively frustrating about this is, if we glance back here, there's a massive gap.
There's a big gap where they could have put...
You could have put 2 of those, even if you want to put them in twice, but you could have put a couple of those charts. Equally, there's gaps all over this. And then also, oh yeah, what you've got is, do you see how stressed I'm getting? It says next round.
So
which round am I on?
Yeah, you've done your setup.
It then says next round again.
It says next round. It goes.
Why doesn't it say first round?
First round, second round. It says next round, and then it goes next round again.
And then it starts you off purl 2, knit 2, doing the double moss stitch. And then on the next round, it refers you to work round 2 of the circular double moss stitch. So you go and you look at round 2, and I know this is only a small thing, but it says knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. Well, I'm sorry, I believe that should say purl the purl stitches and knit the knit stitches.
Because you're starting with
Because when I'm deep into this pattern, I'm not messing around with you folks. I looked at that and I thought, have I done that wrong? Because the first thing I'm hitting is a purl. And you looked at it and you said, they've got that wrong. They should be referring you to further on into the... Because it's like I've started.
Yeah, because the way that they're describing the double moss stitch is, I mean, we all know what double moss stitch is. It's knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rounds, and then purl 2, knit 2 for 2 rounds.
And I understand that. But when you say knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches, and then you say knit the purl stitches and purl the knit stitches, I'm confused.
Why isn't it just written as knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rounds, purl 2, knit 2, rather than being all those words? I think that was because it took us a minute, didn't it, to understand?
Yeah.
Certainly, it took me a minute to understand it. It does say it's skill level 4 out of 5, and maybe,
no, I'm sorry, that's not a fair thing to say, because it's challenging knitting.
I don't think it need be skill for level 4 out of 5 if the pattern was written just slightly differently.
It is a challenging knit without the pattern being written in a way which is frustrating for me to operate with. But Kay, clever the lady that she is, idiot that I am.
Well, hardly.
So I kept flicking backwards and forwards for 7 stitches. She said, 7 stitches? Well, why don't you just write that on the page? So I did.
I don't think it really warrants a chart.
Yeah, there's also a chart for 7
stitches.
stitches. Why didn't they just write the 7 stitches?
Because the pattern isn't written at all, it's all charted. So I think that's obviously why they've taken the decision to put those 7 stitches as a chart, because it's not written, is it?
No.
It's all charted.
You could have put that big chart across the bottom there, and you could have put the 2 small charts there, because you're working the body, the majority of the knitting, on this page.
Yeah.
That would have then stopped me having to flick through 7 pages to get to the actual chart.
Yeah.
And what concerns me a little bit is I'm only at the beginning of the pattern. So how many more frustrations am I going to hit? Probably quite a few. But do you know what? I don't care.
But it's a learning curve. It is a learning curve, isn't it? And
it is a learning curve. The garment looks... I'm enthused by the garment.
Yeah,
I love the stitches I'm doing.
And
Michelle Wong is a great designer.
She's a fantastic designer. Yeah, I love her patterns. And I did say to you, I think once you've got going, and once you've established it, and you know you've done a couple of repeats of all of the different sections, I think it will become a lot easier, because you'll be able to read your knitting, won't you? And you'll just have that memory of what each section needs to be.
Yeah.
It will get easier, I think, and it's definitely a learning curve in sort of reading different types of patterns.
Absolutely.
Because everybody writes patterns in a different way.
It's just frustrating when someone...
to have knowledge.
It is, but it's like no one sat down with this pattern and knit it.
You know, the actual design is lovely, and it's going to produce a beautiful garment.
Doing this makes me respect Thea Coleman hugely. Because, there were challenges with the Irish coffee, but at no point was I flicking around like a crazy man. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's all a learning curve. Everyone writes patterns a little bit differently. It's the first time now I think I've sat knitting a pattern where it felt like no one had sat and knit this pattern and thought, is the way that we're portraying this conducive to a pleasant knitting experience?
Yeah.
Because it isn't.
At the moment. Well, no. I mean, once you getting used to it, though, is not an excuse. No, I agree. But we are persevering.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to knit it and it's going to look great. And, the learning in it is phenomenal. So, every little bit of that I'm enjoying. When I finished, it will be, because that looks lovely.
Yeah, it is lovely. It's a lovely thing.
What else is on your needles?
Put down the blanket, Kate.
Put down my blanket, Kate.
Put down the blanket. I'm knitting a hat. I haven't knit a hat for a while.
What is the obsession with non-Yorkshire farmers wearing flat caps? I'll say nothing more.
Oh, you're talking about your brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Take it off. You look like a fool.
Dan's brother likes to wear a flat cap, even though he's probably never been on a farm his entire life. They're not only for farmers, flat caps, are they? But they are associated with Yorkshiremen, I think, aren't they? My dad had a flat cap.
Yeah.
He used to wear it to take the dog for a walk.
Yeah, and
he looked great in it.
And he would.
Yeah.
But I just think, sometimes fashion is an interesting thing. And I think I would encourage you to look in a mirror before you go outside.
Me? Me? It's probably right.
Look in the mirror and just think, how do I look?
I've got some yarn right here that I wanted to use for ages. I bought it last year with some birthday money that my mum gave me, and I've just hoarded it, which is silly, isn't it? But we all do it. And I thought the time is right to use that yarn. I just really wanted to use it, and especially when I looked up the name of the yarn. It had a very strange name, and I have no idea what that means. And I looked up what it meant, and it's actually a star constellation.
Amazing.
And every morning when I've been taking Dan in his cup of tea, it's still dark outside, it's about 6:30. And I open the curtains, I open the window, and all the stars have still been out, and I've just really enjoyed looking at the stars and the moon, and it's just been really nice. So when I saw that this yarn, the name of it was actually a star constellation, I was like, I want to use it even more. And the yarn is Madeline Tosh. It's Tosh Merino Light, but it's got glitter in it. It was called something like Holo for a hologram, I think it's a shortened version of. But it's basically their Tosh Merino Light with glitter in. And this is the colourway I'm using. Beta Crucis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But if you look up that word, Beta Crucis, you'll see it's a star constellation. So I thought that was lovely. And actually when I show you the yarn, it makes perfect sense that that's what they've called it. So this particular yarn, it's just imagine Tosh Merino Light, the base, and then they've added in, it's 8% acrylic and 2% stellina. So it's a stellina, but it's a stellina that it colours to the colour of the yarn, which normally stellina doesn't do that. But this, for some reason, some magical reason, it takes on the dye from the yarn. So I'm holding it double, so I've got 2 cakes, but this is the yarn. I'm sure it's not coming across as pretty as it actually is. But it basically looks...
That reminds me of the stovepipe colourway. I know it shouldn't
that's
do.
dark grey.
Well, that's what it's making me think of as soon as I look at it.
Right.
Like a girl version of that.
All right, well it's a dark sort of base, but then it's got all these pops of like, you know, pink and blue and purple and green with this stellina-y sparkly, but it's all different colours.
Was stovepipe Mad Tosh as well? No.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Stovepipe is a Mad Tosh colour.
That is amazing if you think about it, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, what an excellent reflection that is on them as dyers.
It's very recognisable, Mad Tosh, I think.
Well, I'm clueless when it comes to things like this.
It's brilliant.
And as soon as I looked at that, it made me think of a girl version. And I think we'll look cool. And people thought we looked cool last episode.
Oh, and the green tops don't, honestly.
I had to cut out so many times Kay ridiculing us. Well, I thought we looked great.
When I saw that, I said, oh, why didn't I change that top?
Well, no, it should have been me. It's my fault. You put yours on first.
I did, and he went anyway.
But I didn't even think. I didn't think, oh, I'll put that on and we'll look like complete numpties.
It is what it is. So, yeah, it's this sort of dark base with all these pops. And it just reminds me of the night sky, do you know, with all the pops of glittery stars in it. It's really beautiful. So I'm holding it double because I wanted a slightly thicker hat, and this is, I was thinking of like for walking when it gets a little bit warmer, because it's been really cold lately, so I've been wearing actually that, do you know that really thick hat that I knit out of the raster yarn, the Malabrigo raster? I've been wearing that all the time, haven't I? And it's been a fantastic hat. It's so warm and so, you know, it's lovely. But I thought I want something just a bit lighter for when it starts getting a bit warmer in the spring, but I didn't want fingering weight because it's not a lot of warmth in fingering weight, I don't think. It's nice for sort of, you know, cool autumn days and things like that. So I thought, right, I'll double it. So I found a pattern and I cast on. This is not the one I'm knitting, but I'll get down to insert a photo. The first one I cast on was the Stove Top from Tin Can Knits. It's this lovely, it's got a cable up the front and then it's double moss stitch. Double moss stitch again? Gosh, I mean, I do love double moss stitch.
It's popular.
Actually, I say that, but yours is, I'm not right, this one is a knit one, purl one for 2 rounds, and then purl one, knit one for 2 rounds. Dan's is a knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rounds, and purl 2, knit 2. So I'm not sure which of those would be described as a double moss stitch, but in any case.
Well, in my pattern it says circular double moss stitch.
Yeah, and I would describe this one as a double moss stitch, because moss stitch to me is knit one, purl one, but I know that some people call that seed stitch. Right. In any case, it was this hat, which I thought that will be lovely. And this is designed for a worsted weight, but I thought, right, if I'm holding it double, that should be about a worsted weight.
That's moss stitch.
That's double moss stitch.
Double moss
That's
stitch.
what's on your green vest.
Right, double moss stitch.
Yeah,
right.
But yours is also called double moss stitch.
You would think, wouldn't you,
It's
that if it was, what's moss stitch then?
Moss stitch to me is knit one, purl one, and then purl one, knit one on the next round.
And what's that one? You do 2 rounds.
2 rounds of that. Okay. So I would call that double moss stitch.
Okie dokie.
However, I know that a lot of people call what I would call moss stitch seed stitch.
And call knit 2, purl 2 moss stitch.
Knit 2, purl 2 moss stitch,
I think. Okay.
But to me, I've always known moss stitch as being knit 1, purl 1, and then purl 1, knit 1. So I did start this. You will have seen the picture. However, it was coming out a bit small, and I was knitting the largest size because I thought, right, this is designed for a worsted weight. I'm using, it's more like DK doubled this. I thought it was more like a DK when it's doubled. So I thought I'll go down a needle size and I'll knit the biggest size and I should be all fine. But when I saw the cast on number for the largest size, I thought, do you know, I'm not sure, because I would have expected that to be more stitches. Even for worsted weight, I would have expected it to be a bit more for a large size. 23 inches around is the largest size, and that's quite a large circumference. But I thought, no, I'll go with it. And I knit a good amount. I knit sort of about this much. And then I said to you, didn't I, this is not big enough. And I looked at it and I thought, I'm sure this is not going to be big enough. And there was also a couple of things in the pattern that I'll be honest, I didn't really like very much. You had to increase some stitches on the first round after the rib, but it had you increase them by doing a purl round. But the problem with doing a purl round, I found, is that you could see those purl stitches. They were very obvious. It just sort of bugged me a little bit, and I could have changed that. But I thought, no, I'll do what the pattern tells me to do, and I just went with it. But that, along with the fact that it was looking a bit small, I was like, I left it a day, and then the next day I said, I'm going to rip that out and do a different pattern. So I did that. Instead of the stove top, I'm doing a hat that's called Latu, L-A-T-U. And that's kind of similar in that it's got just a single sort of cable panel running up here, and the rest is stocking stitch. And this, I think, was designed for a DK. So the stitch count is a bit higher, and I thought that would be great. So this is how far I am. I don't want to lose my stitches. And you can see it's got, can you see the really nice cable panel there? Look, it's really pretty. And then the rest is just stocking stitch. Knit 2 purl 2 rib. And then the cable just runs up to the top, and then you've got some decreases. And it's meant to be slightly slouchy. And you cast on, it was, I think, 4 or 6 stitches more, something like that, than the biggest size for the other pattern. And I'm much happier with this. And also, I think the yarn shows off really lovely, in the stocking stitch. You can just see all the really nice colours. And I think it's going to be a lovely hat. I'm hoping I've got enough to just add a pom-pom or a tassel or something. Maybe a tassel, I don't know. I'll definitely have enough for a tassel if I don't have enough for a pom-pom, because that doesn't use much yarn, does it? So I've been really enjoying that. I'm using 4.5mm needles, I'm pretty sure. I think that's what the pattern called for. I think it was 4.5mm for the rib and then 5mm for the body, but I decided to just carry on with the 4.5mm because it did look quite slouchy. And whilst I don't like hats to be tight on my head, I didn't want it to be massively slouchy. So I think this is going to be really lovely. And I'm so pleased to be using this yarn as well, because it was an expensive yarn. This is the other thing, I love Madeline Tosh, but you can't get it in that many places here in the UK. And when you can get it, it is an expensive yarn. And I think if you buy it in America, although it's sort of up there with, in the price range, I wouldn't say it's the most expensive yarn. Hand-dyed would be more expensive. Whereas I think this one, I know this one was more expensive with the glitter, but I think it was about £26-27 a skein, which is, that is a dear do, isn't it? But it was a birthday present, so that's fine. And I will be very happy to have this lovely hat at the end. And if I've got little spare bits left over, then they can go into, my blanket projects. Not my bits and bobs, because this is too dark for this one. I don't want dark colours, but yes, that's lovely. So that's Latu, L-A-T-U hat.
Excellent. Last April, I began a journey to the centre of the yoke.
Oh.
And there's a series to go with it, where we followed the ups and downs of my road into yoked garment knitting. And the latest episode came out last week.
Yeah.
And my goodness, the journey is nearly over.
Ooh.
There are just tiny bits of look at the hole. It's minute.
You've nearly got to the top, haven't you? You're going to have to take the whole thing out so we can see.
I'm going to.
Oh.
Don't worry. It's called build-up of tension.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay. Excitement.
Yes. I'm also
He's holding
thrilled.
the jumper to hostage. You can't see it all yet.
I'm also thrilled to say as well that we've looked at the clay quat and you like it.
Yep.
And
I've ordered yarn.
We're off. We're absolutely off, folks. So this journey to the centre of the yoke will continue for a second season. And of course, you will get to see my progress too in the show, like today. Look. Here it is.
Oh my goodness!
Look at this.
I've not seen it out of the bag because you've been keeping it in the bag to work on it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Goodness.
That's amazing. You've not seen it out of the bag either.
Not really, no. Not too much.
Oh, I can't wait.
Look at this. And now my colour work has got better. This is the first time I've knit a yoke, so you know there's obviously learning. It's improved by leaps and bounds in between. The problems arose. It started off okay down the bottom. The problems arose with the decreases, and then I got used to it. We flowed into it, and then with this sort of slightly darker pink, it started to get closer, and I'm feeling much better again now with the lighter pink. But as we've knit further and further, we think that with blocking it should look okay. I mean, it looks okay now.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
But the colours are just great, and
love
the design's
it,
lovely, and there's been little challenges, but Anna's been really helpful. Whenever I've messaged her, she's answered really quickly, and it's not been a lot. I think it's only been once.
I think it was only once.
Yeah. I couldn't recommend this more. It's been a lovely thing to knit, and I'm sad that it's coming to an end.
You've got a new one to start.
I'm going to miss the lovely flowers on the jumper. They're so nice. And also all the lovely colours. It's just,
lovely,
it's so unbelievably gorgeous. It really has been. I really feel like I've been on a, I hate the expression, but it does feel like the whole thing, there's been ups and downs and twists and turns, and approaching it with a sort of plan that you hope will be right. And I think it was okay. It was pretty good. Knitting the things I've knit in the order that I've knit, and all the things that I've learnt to get to this point. I've really enjoyed every bit of it. And of all the garments that I've knit, this has felt the most right.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It does suit you, which is great.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It looks really nice and roomy as well,
I hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's going all the way around me and it's not even blocked yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's going to be great.
And what I'm looking forward to is...
Oh, look at that!
It's going to be finished off with this on the top.
Oh, yeah, it does. And
So,
like a little... a bit of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't that look lovely, though? It just looks really nice.
Yeah. Just wish I'd got that colourwork a bit neater.
Yeah, but this is pulling. This one is pulling a little bit. But when we go to the back and look at the floats, there is plenty of stretch. So I think we're going to give it a nice soak. I might put some colour catchers in. I don't know if that will... I'm hoping, obviously, that doesn't bleed. But I'm going to throw in a couple of colour catchers just to be sure. And give it a nice soak. And I think that will block. Lovely.
I really do feel like that this has been a...
And I love the bit of...
Yeah.
That on the sleeve as well.
I think it's been a really important road for me to have taken. I think that
Beautiful.
It's helped me find the things which I really do enjoy about knitting. And what's been so lovely about this month is, or January, whilst we told you at the start of the show that it's been quite a challenging month, it's been one of those months where the sort of comfort and joy that I've got from knitting has been wonderful. And I've said to you, I think twice in January, thank you again so much for teaching me to knit. Without it, turn to the things, no matter how tough times can get, when you turn to the things which mean a lot to you, the rewards are boundless.
Yeah.
So cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
What else is on your needles?
Okay, so... the other thing I've been working on is actually another blanket. I'm really sorry, it's the show of blankets.
Look, I've just said how important it is to turn to the things which mean the most to you. And I think it's no surprise, is it? Given the fact that, you needed some things to put a smile on your face.
Yeah. That I've been working on my crochet blanket.
It's lovely. I love these bits.
Yeah, the fluffy bits. Well, I hadn't worked on this since before Christmas, and I'd had that break because I'd done something to my shoulder and I was worried that it might have been the crochet. Well, I think I'm pretty confident now that it wasn't the crochet. I'm certain that it was knitting that really bulky hat on the massive needles, and I was also doing another something at the same time that was on quite big needles. So I think that's what had caused the problem with my shoulder. It's totally fine now. So I waited until my shoulder was completely better, which to be honest took a good month, because it was still really painful when we were away at Christmas. So I thought, right, no, I'm not going to touch it till then. And then when it felt totally better, I thought, right, I'm going to start picking up the crochet blanket and just doing, I did maybe 20 minutes, put it down, you know, waited till the next day, thought, feel totally fine, did another 20 minutes. And I'm working on it now for maybe half an hour or so at a time, which is totally fine. You know, I think I could work longer, but inevitably I'm working on this at times where I've maybe only got half an hour. So it fits perfectly in. And I've done quite a lot, so I'll show you it sort of folded over and then I will open it out. So this is where I'm now up to. And the last time I showed you, I was way down in this yellow section, I think. So I've done all of this. So I'll open it up. I think I chained 200. I seem to think that if it wasn't bang on 200, it was around that. And I'm using the pattern that's from Attic 24, the granny stripe blanket, the one that, you know, everybody seems to use for this particular blanket because it's brilliant, quite honestly. So it goes from over here to over here. So it's, you know, this big. It's a really nice lap size blanket, and it doesn't need to be bigger than that really. This is going to be a gift for Bryony, and I've been trying to put in colours that I know she will love. Now can you see that hugely neon section here? This is, I mean, gosh, I didn't realise how regular a pattern that is in the blanket actually, because it seems to have not pulled, it's kind of like diagonally striking, isn't it? Never noticed that before. But that yarn,
don't say the P word.
No, don't say the P word. Ooh. That yarn's from Siobhan's Crafts.
Oh yes.
Do you remember? We got it at Spring Into Wool.
Yes, first one.
Yeah, and it was a 50-gram skein, and the colourway was, it might have just been unicorn or unicorn something. It was something to do with unicorns, and it's just these really bright neon colours, and Bryony loved it. And she asked me to put it in here, so I thought, right, okay. I'm not a neon person normally, but that's what she wanted, so I'm like, right, I'll put it in. And I did, and there's a nice chunk of it. I didn't use all of it because I've kept a bit back just in case I ever want to use it for sort of little things like little hearts or, you know, other little projects for Bryony. But there's probably 20 grams in there, I reckon. And I think once now I've done a bit more, I think it's okay, isn't it? And there are some brighter sections, like this yellow is bright. I am gonna put the odd sort of stripe of a nice bright colour, just so that then that won't really stand out as much. And even if it does, it doesn't matter, does it? Because she really loves that section, so that's great. And I'm putting in, you can see if I hold it up, can you see the kind of rows of mohair? There's one just here, and there's one down there, and then a couple more. I've really liked putting these in because I think it does break up the sort of craziness of the colours and gives it a bit of calmness, if you like. I'm just doing 2 rows, you know, backwards and forwards when I put in the mohair. So I've finished the first magic knot ball. I finished it with this blue. So I'm now just adding in, I had a chunk of my Sirius colourway I found in my basket, and that's one of Bryony's favourites. It's like a grey, it's speckled actually with black, like a mauvey colour, and then like a sort of mossy green colour. But it sort of reads when you look at it overall as a grey, but when you look closely, there's a mauvey purple and there's a mossy green as well. So I'm putting in a nice big stripe of that, and I've still got this much left of it. So I might keep going and use all of it, or I might stop, you know, when I think that section's big enough. I'm using a 3mm hook. It's one of these clover ones. I love these are my favourite crochet hooks because they've got that rubbery squishiness. It's not hard on your hand, and I think that's really good for your sort of ergonomics. And I am just I'm very conscious when I'm crocheting of just keeping my shoulders relaxed, because I do have a habit of going like this, you know, you tense up, and I don't do that with knitting, but with crochet for some reason I tend to sort of, my shoulders go up and I get a bit tense, so I'm just trying to like keep relaxed and chilled. And I've got no end date in mind particularly for this, but you know, if it was done for a birthday this year, which is at the end of October, that would be lovely. But if it's Christmas, that would also be lovely. I'm not in any rush, and she's not really in any rush at all. But I think it's really nice, and I'm really enjoying it. So
cool.
Yay! Yay blankets!
Folks, oh yes, it's time for another trip to the cinema, for another film review.
Yay.
At this time, it's my turn to choose. So, shall we take a trip to another Bakery Bears picture show?
Yes.
At this time of year, getting out and about in these freezing cold temperatures can just be impossible.
But there's one place where you are always guaranteed a good time.
The cinema!
So over the next few episodes, join us as we try and find films we both love.
Along the way, we'll try some cinematic treats.
And in the chair of truth, we'll give you our honest reviews.
This is the Bakery Bears Picture Show.
Welcome to the Bakery Bears Picture Show. This is our brand new film review show.
Oh yes, it is our quest to try and find a film that we both enjoy. Now, we're going to review a film for you today, but we're not going to talk about it until we get home and until we get to our chair of truth.
Yes.
And we've agreed, haven't we, 4 special categories that we're going to keep our eye on throughout the film. And let's remind ourselves now of what those categories are.
The first is storyline. Could we follow it? Were there strong characters, and could we relate to it?
Then comes acting. Did the actors portray their characters well, and did we enjoy their performances?
Music for us is a big one. We're looking for a soundtrack that adds to our enjoyment of the film, and in a perfect world makes us want to buy the soundtrack once the movie is over.
Finally, it's cinematography. Does the movie create a visual world that the story can be properly told within?
So what we're going to be watching, I have no idea. And I'm a bit worried because there's not really very much on at the minute.
No, and this was the other thing that we wanted to do at this time of year, because there's just nothing, you know, it's so cold, nowhere that we would normally go visit is open, and, you know, is it possible to go to the cinema and find good things to watch at this time of year? Well, looking at the choices, the answer is perhaps no. But, you know, in saying that, I really enjoyed Stan and Ollie, actually.
Yeah, I enjoyed Stan
on reflection.
and Ollie. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And after looking at the choices for this time, because this time we're going to see Clint Eastwood's latest film.
Right.
It's called The Mule.
The Mule?
Yes, it's some crime thriller.
Right.
She looks thrilled.
Yes. I've never heard of it. I like Clint Eastwood. But,
I haven't heard of it either, but it's got Clint Eastwood in it, a load of other famous people. He must be old
now.
He's 80, I think.
Wow.
And I think that in itself, he's directed it, plus he's starring in it.
Right.
And I just thought that in itself...
that's good going, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And the reviews are all really good.
Right.
So, you know, you would hope that it's going to be good. We know it's not going to have any violence in it.
Do we know that?
Well, it shouldn't have a lot.
Oh, right, okay.
You see, I've said that now. So, look, it may be cold, but I want some ice cream. So let's get inside and get some. While Kay's gone off to get my ice cream, I just want to tell you about something, because after we came first time and we saw Stan and Ollie, do you remember the first episode of the picture show? It got us thinking, are there any cinemas left in our town that were around when Stan and Ollie films were being shown? So, we've left Kay up there in our nice warm and cosy seats in our town's newest cinema, and we're going to go off up this way for a little bit of an explore. Come on, let's go. You see, if there's one thing that we love to do, it's look up above street level at buildings whenever we visit a town. There, often hidden in plain sight, is wonderful architecture that to our eye makes no sense. But as we look back through history, suddenly everything becomes clear. But we're here on the hunt for cinemas, and would you believe we're in the perfect place, because the road we're heading to used to accommodate two of the town's biggest picture houses. The excitement of the cinema gripped the whole of England in the months running up to the outbreak of the First World War. They were appearing everywhere. In the 6 months from August 1912 to March 1913, 4 new purpose-built cinemas opened in our town, each with at least 800 seats. But Darlington, back then, was quite a place. It had been at the forefront of the development of the railway, and the money which that had brought into the town had clearly driven the locals' appetite for an evening at the pictures. And after a short walk down Skinnergate, we're at the site of one of the town's first brand new cinemas. My goodness, you can totally see it there. This was the Arcade Cinema. It opened on August the 3rd, 1912, and this is what it looks like now. Can you believe that we've also found a picture of what it looked like inside? Would you like to see it? I thought you might. Just take a look at this. Can you imagine how that must have felt sat in that audience? The auditorium seated nearly 1,000 people. We even have the opening night's brochure. Just 4 months after the Titanic sank, the arcade opened for an evening of the finest films money can procure. They don't word them like that anymore, do they? Now, it operated for the next 44 years when it became the Majestic Ballroom, and in the 1960s it became what it is today, a bingo hall. But as we leave the arcade behind us, we make our way down to the second cinema opened in that 6-month period leading into World War I. What I love so much about this is business today is all on eye level, because if you look up, you might just see some ghosts of the past. And here it is. Look at the architecture. Suddenly, what seems out of place above a takeaway food shop makes total sense. This was the Court Cinema. It opened on February the 11th, 1913, and it seated 1,119 people. There it is. Just look at that. That's the newspaper report from the day that it opened. And they were seated in this rather gorgeous looking auditorium. Look at the side staircases and the dress circle behind. Now, we don't just know when it opened, we know what was playing on the day it opened. Look, 5 movies with a live orchestra too, because these were, of course, silent movies. Now, the Court carried on showing cinemas for the next 34 years. This picture was taken in 1944, which was fortunate because the Court's days were numbered, because sadly it was destroyed by fire on the 15th of August 1947, with only the front and the foyer remaining intact. In the 1950s, housing was built on the site of the auditorium, and the front of the cinema became a shop, which it of course remains to this day. And both of those cinemas would absolutely have shown Stan and Ollie pictures. Now, we've got a film to see, and we've got Kay waiting up there for us with some ice cream. So let's get back to our town's newest cinema and go watch a film. And look, there it is. Now, I left this for Kay to decide this time. Now, you may remember, for those of you who tuned in to the first episode of the Picture Show, that I tried Ben & Jerry's strawberry cheesecake. And I made the bold statement that Haagen-Dazs was more of an adult ice cream. So what has she done? She's bought me a Haagen-Dazs strawberry cheesecake for direct comparison. So let's crack in. I'm already slightly more impressed. This is a much more sort of adult spoon.
Fine.
I can't get it off.
For goodness sake. Well, that's not very good, is it?
Folks, I physically can't get in. The excitement. I don't think that looks as good. I mean, it feels pretty good.
It's nice.
It's really nice. It's much creamier. I've not got any bits. It's absolutely delicious. But I can't even finish it.
It's still frozen.
It's still frozen. Look, there's no time to eat ice creams because we have a film to watch, and I know that Kay is unbelievably excited to see this. So let's get in and let's see what Clint's got in store for us today.
So what precisely is this film all about? Because neither of us have got a clue. Well, here is the synopsis. Broke, alone and facing foreclosure on his business, 90-year-old horticulturalist Earl Stone takes a job as a drug courier for a Mexican cartel. His immediate success leads to easy money and a larger shipment that soon draws the attention of hard-charging DEA agent Colin Bates. When Earl's past mistakes start to weigh heavily on his conscience, he must decide whether to right those wrongs before law enforcement and cartel thugs catch up to him.
Yes, we're here. She's miles away from me this time.
We've got the posh seats.
We're in
this
bigger
time.
seats. It's a much smaller
Paid
cinema.
an extra £1.
Yes, it's worth it. So we can recline. Oh yes.
Yeah, but they don't. Oh, that didn't sound very
The spring went.
That, I mean, can you imagine that in this going when you're watching film? That's a bit much, isn't it? I won't be doing that, don't worry.
Come on, Clint, bring it on. Let's see what he's got for us. Right, we've seen the film. Can we talk about it, Kay?
We're not allowed.
No. It's time to go home to the chair of truth to find out what we thought.
So we are back. We haven't spoke about it at all.
No, I wanted to.
No, so shall we go and see what we thought of it?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
It is our chair of truth.
The storyline is that Clint Eastwood plays an elderly man who has, it seems, dedicated his whole life to the growing of daylilies. He's very passionate about daylilies. He's in societies and clubs and goes to yearly sort of meetings, and he's won all kinds of awards for this. But this passion has been at the expense of his family, basically. His daughter doesn't really talk to him because of this huge passion that he's got in his life. He's very single-minded with it. But I think it's clear that he realises that as he gets older, that really, you know, that's not the way that you should have lived your life, and that your family is really important.
I expected it to be like every other type of film like this, which has been made 100 times before, hasn't it? You know, drug cartels, police, someone in a position where they're uncertain, well, someone in a position where they're being taken advantage of, and you know, you sort of think it's going to follow a similar path. And to be honest with you, that was one of the reasons why I thought, you know, best of a bad bunch, this will be okay, I think. Well, it looked at it in a completely different way. It came at it in a way which was really fresh and new and different. And you know, as storylines go, you couldn't really fault it. It was really cleverly done. It was really easy to engage with. You've got this lovely old guy who loves plants.
But he's like a horticulturalist. He kind of breeds daylilies and he sells them, and he has this business. But the internet comes along and then his business just disappears. So he loses his house and he gets foreclosed by the bank and he has to leave it. And he's obviously fallen out with his daughter, doesn't talk to him, his ex-wife doesn't really talk to him. He's got a granddaughter who still obviously really loves him and he's quite protective of him, but he's kind of messed up with her as well, and he doesn't know what to do. He's got all his possessions in his truck, and as he's leaving his granddaughter's, I think it's her sort of pre-wedding party, one of his granddaughter's friends comes over to the truck to him and starts chatting to him, and it's clear that this man is somehow involved in, I mean, you get the impression that he's somehow involved in drugs. So he gives him a card and says, look, if you ever want to make some money just driving, then give us a ring, kind of thing. And he's like, just drive it? Don't understand. So he does his first drugs run. He doesn't know what it is that he's doing. He just knows that there's a package he's got to take somewhere. Quite innocent over it. And then it just goes from there, really. In the end.
To sort of follow him on his journey into ending up through no, you know, it was amazing to see how it just happened. And also, you know, if you think about it in the wider world, you can start to sort of stop and think, oh my goodness, you know, those types of things could happen to anybody, and you could find yourself. So what was brilliant about the storyline was, I was just getting to that point, wasn't I, where I was going to say you could totally see yourself in his position.
He ends up doing run after run after run with more and more and more drugs and, you know, millions and millions of dollars worth. And whilst, you know, we all know that that's obviously not the right thing to do, I ended up kind of not feeling sorry for him, but, you know, every time he did a successful run and he got his money, I was like, oh, you know, he's done another one. And he was helping people with this money that he was earning. So he helped his friend who'd had a fire there, and he gave him some money so that he could open it back up again, and he gave his granddaughter money so she could go to college. And, you know, we all know that's not the right way to live your life. But the way that it was filmed, I kind of ended up kind of cheering him on, you know.
As storylines go, I think it surprised me. I thought it was a fresh take on the type of film which has been done many times before, and I loved it. I loved every bit of the storyline. The acting from everybody was superb. Starting obviously with Clint Eastwood, who, the man is just, I'm lost for words. When you think of the guy's back catalogue, you know, I was only watching at Christmas Where Eagles Dare, and, you know, all the amazing westerns, and, you know, and then In the Line of Fire, that great film with John Malkovich and Rene Russo, where, I mean, it's just so many amazing films. And then, you know, it's sort of sad to think that this film has been released in what is a sort of quiet period, really, as we've sort of found out with regards to trying to find good films to go and see. And so I think you expect it not to be very good. You know, you sort of look at it and you don't think, well, it's Clint Eastwood. Even though I was saying, wasn't I, before we went in, well, he was superb. You totally believed his character, and he played it with a depth of emotion at the end, which was just brilliant.
I thought it to be Clint Eastwood and then a bunch of people that I probably wouldn't recognise, but I did, and they were, you know, quite well-known actors, I thought. So I thought it was brilliantly acted.
You know, you look around him, and I think because it's Clint Eastwood, he gets people to do films who you just wouldn't expect, because you've got Andy Garcia playing a brilliant sort of Mexican drug kingpin who was just great. You've got Bradley Cooper, who was, again, really good. You know, he plays those types of characters. He played a FBI officer, and he was really good. Then Lawrence Fishburne appears, and, you know, again, all these really weighty, great actors. But then looking outside of that, you had a whole range of the bad guys who you grew to love. And you grew to love them because Clint Eastwood's main character just made everyone just soften up and be themselves, and you know, we're all human beings, aren't we? And I think what this film shows you is it's very easy to look at someone's situation and cast judgment, but you need to understand how they got to that point. I'm not justifying wrongdoing at all, and this film does not justify that. But I think sometimes human beings can be a little bit one-dimensional and judgmental, when perhaps if you just took a step back and you understood what was going on around. And that's what this film makes you do. And I love this film because of that.
The music, actually, I didn't expect there to be any music at all, I'll be honest. You know, when it came on and I kind of got the gist of what was going on, I thought, you know, there wouldn't really, it's not that type of film, there wouldn't really be any music. But actually there was a little bit of music, and it was mainly when he was doing his drugs runs and he was in his truck, and he really loved to listen to music, and he had the music playing and he was singing along, and there was lots of swing and older tunes that I'm sure you will all recognise. And it was really funny at one point because on one of the runs that he was doing, and he'd got two of the drugs, I don't know what you call them, the people who work with the drugs lords, I don't know what you would call them, but they were following him to make sure that everything went to plan, and they planted like a little speaker in his car just so they could hear what was going on. But all they could hear was him singing along to this song, and they ended up singing along, you know, these tough drugs people, and they were both in the car behind singing along.
So when the music was used, it was used to perfection. Personally, I maybe would have liked just a tiny bit more, but I'm a musician, so I would say that. So I'm certainly not going to criticise it for that, but I think it's interesting. I was sat there and I was thinking about this, and I just wonder if there is a fashion in films at the moment, or certainly the two that we've reviewed so far in a picture show, where the directors are making a conscious decision to not use music as much. Now, I think that's sad, but it perhaps gives a film a bit more realism, but I don't know if I want that. I'm going to the cinema to be taken to another world, and this film did that. It absolutely did that. I felt like I was living within the film. So, you know, it certainly didn't need any more music, but I love music, and it would have been nice if there'd been maybe a theme or two that had stood out.
Yes, so I really loved the music. I thought it fit in really well to the film and kind of made you, it related to the age of that Clint Eastwood obviously is, and the era that he comes from. So I thought that was lovely, and I really enjoyed the little snippets of music that were in it.
Cinematography was excellent. The whole way the film was put together. This is a guy who loves plants, and it exudes throughout the opening of the film. Also, the way that the film was shot and the way that the pictures looked, it just had a lovely feel. It was like warm and inviting and sucking you in, and I think that was cleverly done, because obviously the storyline then takes you on a journey which isn't warm and inviting, but because this guy's approach to life is, he's just, you know, a guy who's been around a long time, he is friendly with everyone, he helps anyone. It was filmed in that way the whole way through, so scenes which in the hands of another director would perhaps have felt gritty and hard and a bit scary, softened up. And I think that's more realistic, because if you were in that position yourself, I think you would be looking at it through. It was brilliantly filmed because you were looking at the world through his eyes, and his eyes were good eyes.
You did see a lot of America because he was doing all of these journeys with the drugs in the back of his truck, just thrown in there. There was one area that I thought, gosh, that's really strange. Was it called White Sands or something? And it looked like he was driving through white sand dune deserts. I'm not even sure where he was. But you did see lots of scenes like that where he was driving through different parts of America, and you kept seeing like the billboards of where he was entering and things, and I really like that. So
the cinematography was perhaps a touch dated. It felt like films from maybe the 80s and the early 90s in the way it was put together, in the way, you know, that the cuts were done and the edits were done. But I love that, and the audience that goes to see this, I suspect, will love that as well, because that's what you would expect from Clint Eastwood, isn't it? You know, he has a way of approaching a film, and clearly has a way of filming a film, and this fit that sort of feel of some of his best work. So the cinematography was exceptional.
So overall, how did I feel about this film? I actually really enjoyed it. It was lovely, and I really enjoyed the film. I thought it had a great feel, and the ending was so nice, and I won't give away what happened. You know, I thought this is going to be really sad, and in a way it was sad, but also in a way it was really happy. It went full circle.
I loved this film. I again don't think it's the type of film I'll watch a lot, but I'm so happy that I saw this film.
So out of 5 stars, I am going to give it a 4.
I
would give this film 3 stars out of 5.
Well, would you believe it? I mean, a total bolt from the blue, because I honestly thought it's going to be average.
I thought, what is this? It's just going to be a load of old rubbish. I'm not going to be interested at all.
What a lovely film. And,
I really loved it.
you know, on reflection, I think that it was perhaps mean of me, because my justification for not giving it 4 stars was it's not a film that I'd want to put on again
Oh, right. Okay.
for a little while.
I get that.
Actually going to the cinema, as we, you know, sort of started to touch on in that little bit of history, which I hope you enjoyed, sometimes going to the cinema, it's about the event.
Yeah.
And, you know, films are made for the cinema.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of glad that I saw that at the cinema.
I'm glad we saw it at the cinema, because both of these films that we've seen so far, actually, we never would have gone to see if we'd not been doing this. No. And I think that would have been a shame, because I've enjoyed them both, but this one I just loved. It was...
I'm going to adjust my score, by the way. I'm going to adjust it to 4.
Are you?
Yeah, I am, because it was wrong of me to take a star away just because I don't want to watch it again.
No, I don't judge my stars
a lovely
like
film.
that.
The message it put out was one, even though the story was up and down, the message it put out was one of absolute goodness. And what I loved about the character was he was the nicest guy.
Oh, he was.
And he ended up in positions which you would never expect, because if you just stop and consider for a moment, there's a generation of people, and, you know, really, you know, my mum and your mum are included in this. Yeah. Look at how fast the world has changed in the last 10 years. Never mind the last 40 years.
He was playing a 90-year-old, wasn't he?
And so, you know, you've got a generation of people out there who... How are they supposed to keep up with the world when it's changing so unbelievably fast? Yeah. And whilst, you know, he did not mean to get into the position he got into, you can sort of, in a way, understand how he did.
Yeah. I really loved it. And it had, you know, I kind of almost had a tear in my eye at the end.
So did I. It was so poignant.
Yeah, because the ending was...
It was lovely.
Even though he ended up in a situation that you wouldn't want him to be in, he seemed to be happy.
It was sad but lovely.
Yeah. So that's it. It's the end of another picture show, but we will be back for one more film in 2 weeks' time.
When we'll be reviewing another film, we'll be trying more ice cream, and we'll be discovering a lot more of our town's history of cinema. Yes! Stan and Ollie opened doors for us, didn't they?
They did.
They gave us a little opportunity to start exploring. And my goodness, when I do things like that, it feels like Back to the Future. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there is history that's within touching distance. You know, it's like echoes of the past.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. Part of me wishes that I had a DeLorean, so I could travel back.
Yeah, and
because Darlington was quite the town.
Yeah,
it
was a wealthy town, wasn't it?
If you think about it,
days of the railway, because this is where the railway started.
If you want to look at an invention which changed the world, is the railways. The focus of the very first passenger rail line was between Darlington and Stockton, and you know, so because of that, there was loads of money, loads of workers, and loads of cinemas. We've just scratched the surface in that first episode. Next time, we're going to pick up on probably the most prominent not cinema that's still in town. And
it's an amazing building.
It really is a lovely building.
It's still the size it was when it was a cinema. Yeah. Whereas like the court cinema, which you've seen, the cinema bit, the auditorium is gone.
And you've got to wonder, if it hadn't burnt down,
would it still be there? You know,
what would it be?
What would it be?
Because
it wouldn't be a Speedy Pepper. Speedy. I mean, honestly, you think, gosh, you know, the number of people that will have walked through that doorway,
not realising.
And now it's like
what a grand
dodgy
place
takeaway shop.
Yes. Now it's time for us to find out. Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Oh, I have finished a couple of things. You'll be glad to know, and I finished a pair of socks. can I just say, I kind of miss knitting socks. I've not really been knitting socks just lately.
So you're going to rectify that situation?
I am with
Good.
Now that's what I call knitting.
Yes.
I'm going to knit some socks because they're I think they are probably my favourite thing to knit.
Hey, we've just coined a phrase which I think we should all make part of our weekly vocabulary. When we see a nice piece of knitting, we say, now that's what I call knitting.
But yeah, I finished a pair of socks.
I like that orange.
And these,
That orange and black makes me think of Halloween.
It does, doesn't it? I think that's meant to be Ron's outfit. Right. These are the London House yarns in Yule Ball, which is a Harry Potter reference. This is my leftovers, but quite a lot. I think I probably got enough to do some shorty socks actually left over. But it's London House yarns, you can just see the tag there. And I've had this, I hoarded it all last year. I think I bought it the year before with the intention of making Christmas socks year before last and never did. But I cast these on in December, worked on them a little bit, but then just sort of didn't after that. But then I thought, I just didn't.
But then just didn't.
Yeah, I just didn't. And then I picked them back up and just finished them really quickly because I just thought, I really want to knit those. And they're not particularly Christmassy looking, it didn't feel like I was knitting Christmas socks in January.
They're not.
Because these are the colours inspired by the Yule Ball scene in Harry Potter. So we've got like Hermione's dress is this pinky colour. I think this greeny colour was Ginny's dress. Right. I think Ron is meant to be this orange and brown because he wears that flamboyant thing, doesn't he? And then I think this one is Professor McGonagall.
Right.
And then Dumbledore I think is the silver. I'm not sure about the red. But in any case, they are done, and I did actually match them. Can you see my matching skills?
And I think we need to remind ourselves that you said that you don't
match. The only reason I did it with these is because I didn't want to end up having that black stripe next to the black heel.
Right.
And I thought if I just do the next one on randomly, there might be a chance of that happening.
Well, there'd be a high chance because look.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. So I liked where the black was in relation to the black heel. It was a nice distance away.
And I think it must be said that my matchy-matchy was luck and yours was skill.
Well, what I did to make sure that these matched was where you can see your tail coming out of the first one, it was about this much pink and then it changed to the next colour. So I knew that I needed to have that same amount of sort of that pink left on this one. So when I cast it on, I sort of guessed the amount of yarn and then just measured how much of the pink had got, on this one as opposed to the next one. I think I was just a few stitches out. You can usually tell by the toe, can't you? That's the normal giveaway. It's pretty close, isn't it? But I do think that this one has got slightly more black than this one, or the other way around. Yeah, this one's got slightly more than this one. So I think it was just a few stitches out. But really, that's pretty good matching. If you do it like this, if I hold it like this.
That's really good.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well done.
So that's another pair of socks for Bryony.
Nice.
And actually last night I was putting some socks away in a drawer and I found the 9 3/4 socks. The piggy yarn socks that I made for a while ago, and she'd never worn them, not on purpose. I'd just put them into a drawer.
Have you gave them to her?
And they'd ended up kind of below some others that she keeps wearing. So I took them downstairs and I said, I've just found a pair of socks you've never worn. And I showed them to her and she went, how have I never worn those?
I hope she put them straight on.
She did.
Good.
So she ripped off the socks she'd got on, even though it was bath time in like 10 minutes. She said, I'm going to put them on now. And she did. So this will be another lovely pair of socks for her that I'll give her when she gets home from school.
Oh,
yay.
Nice.
And
what else is off your needles?
So the other thing I finished is I've been working away on yet another blanket.
It's lovely.
I'm not going to apologise because honestly, I just get so much joy out of knitting blankets. I love them.
This is my favourite.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh right. So I've been working on a 4 square block stitching time blanket, and I've finished a few little blocks. So this one I showed you where the last time I showed you this blanket I had this square knit but not the borders. So I finished this one. This is a lovely peachy one. And then I knit a yellow one, Oh, I love that one. We've got, this is Time Turner, that's one of my colours. This one is Babbity Bumble, another one of my colours. And then these two, I think, were from the Advent swap I did with Sarah. And then I've just finished last night a green one. And there's just this one that I dyed. All the rest. Oh, this is Fondant Fibre. This is Vallum Hadriani. I still had a bit left over. And then the other two greens are from my Advent swap with Sarah. So Sarah, those are two from yours. I've just done a green one.
I like the sort of neatness and uniformity, and also the fact, I mean, the lines are cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And, you know, the way that I work my mitered squares, you can see that's the back. I think it's perfectly neat. You do get little ridges here because I like to keep the knitting of my mitered squares as simple as possible, so I don't slip the edge stitches, and I work a central double decrease, the one that I find the simplest, and I don't purl that stitch, you know, on the reverse row. I just keep it very, very simple because that's how I like to work them. And then when I'm picking up the stitches, I find it really easy because you just pick up in between the garter ridges. But that does mean it leaves a little ridge on the back. I think it looks perfectly neat and tidy on the back. I don't see a problem with it. And I just think the joy of knitting this in the simplest possible way, I really love it. So this is always how I've knit my miter squares, and this is how this pattern is written.
I like that one.
That one, I've no idea what these two greens are because these were in my Advent swap from Sarah, but they're lovely, aren't they? So this is a corner piece. You can see we've got bigger edges on these two sides, and that'll be in the corner.
Now that's what I call knitting.
So yeah, I finished 3 more blocks.
That yellow's lovely, actually.
Time Turner, yeah.
It's sunny.
It is lovely, yeah. I like that yellow.
It's sort of, and for me,
and I love the peach one. I love all of them, to be fair. I really like this
I think what I
version
like
of it.
about this one is that yellow just brings to life the others. If you picked another fairly muted colour, I think, in that one,
yeah,
it wouldn't look as pretty. But because of that, it gives you the contrast.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I am trying to make sure that they're not all the same sort of tones.
Yeah.
So these will obviously join like this, look. So I'm going to start sewing them together actually now, because I think I have got 4 across the top now. And this will just literally be, I want it to just be a blanket that it only needs to be as big as going over my lap and then down to my feet, because it's for my knitting chair.
You're all done?
Yes.
There's nothing from me, because I'm a disgrace.
He is a disgrace.
Next time.
You'll have the jumper next time.
Oh,
you will? Surely. It's nearly finished. But the yarn will be here tomorrow for the new one.
That's fine.
I've ordered Cascade 220.
I'll feel better then. I'm sure I'll feel better. It's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
And the first bit of Endy Bits is we need you. We need your help for the Great Pyramid KAL and Run.
Right.
Because the first month is in the books. And let's start with the runners and walkers, because this is open to everyone. So please come and join one of the teams.
Yep.
You can find out how to do that in our Ravelry group. There's a thread there which tells you everything that you need to know. I can tell you though now, runners and walkers, that we have covered, we're the party group, because we're circumnavigating the globe, collecting along the way revellers who will join us for the party of the century when we return to the site of the Great Pyramid of Giza that of course the knitters will have built. We've covered 1,810 miles. And what I have to say about that is a superb effort, specifically from the walking team. The running team is just slightly off pace.
Right.
So, but
it's January.
It is January, but I'm comparing it to last January.
Oh, right, okay.
So we are off pace. We're also off pace for getting to our target by about 200 miles. But what I've done is I've moved that 200 and I've averaged it out over the next 11 months. So, you know, if we're under any month, then it just gets added onto the months after. Right. So we need more people. So please come and help us circumnavigate the globe. All you got to do is just track your runs and your walks when you're outside it then automatically gets put into the group total, and you help us get back, because I do not want to miss this party. But of course, the party will only take place if the knitters...
If we finish the pyramid.
And the pyramid is being built. It is our patron-only, year-long knit-along.
Yeah.
There's prizes all through the year,
Yeah.
and a grand prize at the end.
Yeah.
And how many blocks have you built?
Right, so as at... I calculated it as yesterday, so it's just slightly over a month.
Yeah.
We have built 141,635 blocks.
So, I mean, there's a nice base of blocks
That's
in there.
amazing, isn't it? So our target, just to remind you, is 2,300,000 blocks.
Ew.
So at the moment, we're on about 6.5%. We really need to be on about 8% at this point.
Right.
So again, we're just a bit behind.
Right.
But we'll totally make that up.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not worried. We'll blitz that
Come on,
pyramid,
teams.
and
We
we'll
need
be
you.
Topping it off.
Yes.
A topping off
Yes.
party. That's
Yes.
the whole point, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So please come and help us. Join in with our year-long mission. Getting outside, getting some exercise, and patron knitters.
So patrons, if you are knitting things and you haven't been putting them into that FO thread,
Help
then
us.
go and pop them in for us. That'd be fantastic, so that we can get to the top of that pyramid.
And there will be superb prizes all through the year.
We have them every quarter, don't we?
We absolutely do.
March will be the first sort of time we do prizes.
Knitability issue 17 is out.
Yes.
It came out last week, and it's just one of the loveliest issues that we've done, specifically because of Katrine Birkenwasser, who is just the most. It was so lovely to talk to someone from a country which I have had the utmost respect for their knitting heritage, specifically because of their winter games teams, specifically their snowboarding coach, who was stood at the top of the
This was
route.
Finland, wasn't it?
Yes, he stood at the top of the route and he's knitting.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's so cool to talk to someone and sort of dig into how and why that heritage is so rich in that particular country.
And she knew a huge amount, didn't she, about it? It was amazing.
It's great. It's great.
It's really interesting.
And also as well, just the best, you know how much I love history, and to sit down with someone like Louise Lockhart, she was our Meet the Vendor, and to talk to her about Scottish history and to get her thoughts on how Outlander has portrayed the country which she adores, but also we dug into a little bit of Hogmanay and where that word comes from, and you know, it was, I had no idea. I knew she knew her stuff, but I learnt some stuff. So it's a superb issue. It's out now. Anything from you?
Yes, so just a quick reminder again, now that's what I call knitting.
Come and join in.
New knit along starts today.
Open to everybody.
Information in the Ravelry chatter thread. FO thread will be open, runs until the end of March. So get knitting your projects inspired by your favourite song. If you would like to link the video in your post, then please by all means do so. That would be super fun.
Or just tell us what it is.
Particularly 80s videos are extremely welcome.
But we love the
But
70s,
any.
love a bit of Frank, you know.
Yeah, any era you like. Classical music, if that's your thing.
I'd love to see some classically
Absolutely
inspired.
Yeah,
That would be.
Rachmaninoff would be
Oh,
marvellous.
look at her go. It's only because I had that on the other day.
He did. So that must have just been in my head.
Yeah, of course
My
it
mum
would.
used to listen to stuff like that. She did.
Hey?
She did. She had records. Ask her about it next time we see her. She had a radiogram. Do you know those radiograms?
Yes.
And she had records, and I'm certain she had some classical stuff.
Well, I'm stunned because this is a lady who loves Foster and Allen and Joseph Locke. Not that there's a problem with that.
No.
But, you know, to then throw in Rachmaninoff is quite an eclectic musical taste.
But then she likes Andre Rieu, didn't she, with the violin?
Yes.
Yeah, so ongoing knit along, come and
Who
join
remembers
in.
Richard Clayderman? Do you?
Oh, dreadful, yeah. What?
Supposedly, I mean, you know, when I was young, my family was very sort of knowledgeable and into the music, and you know, I had relatives who worked very sort of deep within the business, and the word on the street was that he couldn't play.
Really?
No,
Oh,
he was just a
right.
pretty boy that the record company had put up.
right.
Now that might all be
Interesting.
total tripe, but if you actually watch him, he does seem to be playing an awful lot of octaves and not a lot of finger work was going on.
Right.
It was very sort of plonky.
Right.
And you know, also if you watch his videos, the camera's on his face a lot.
Right.
And he was a handsome chap.
It was, yeah.
It's like the David Copperfield of the music world.
I'm not...
Do you remember when he made the Statue of Liberty disappear?
Yeah.
How did he do it?
But I love stuff like that. Well, it obviously didn't disappear. But how did he do it?
Imagine if he couldn't bring it back again.
I bought a couple of skeins of yarn, so that's exciting. Haven't been buying much lately, apart from things for specific projects like your jumper.
Yes.
But Kelly at Lay Family Yarns has been doing Harry Potter colourways. Well, but what I did get in a last update was I got Umbridge on a sparkle base, and of course it's all pinks.
Lovely.
For Professor Umbridge. Even though we all really dislike Professor Umbridge, I think we enjoy disliking her, don't we?
Yeah.
She's an excellent bad character, I think. And then I got this one, which is Mad Eye Moody, because Bryony loves Mad Eye Moody.
Cool.
And it's like this sort of goldeny sort of colour, goldeny with a tinge of green, and then it's got specks of green and orange. Really lovely. And that's on a base... It's a 75-25, but it's the high twist 425 metres, so it's a 2-ply 75-25. I've never dyed on this particular base, but it looks really nice. So that's lovely. And then she very kindly sent me this one to try, because at the moment there's apparently some global shortage on mohair.
Right. It's your fault.
Certainly, there's me. Certainly, the suppliers that I use, and I know that Kelly uses, don't have any in until I think March.
Right.
But she's been dyeing instead on this base, which is a 74% Suri alpaca, 26% mulberry silk, 50 grams, 600 metres, and this is caramel floof. And she said, "Oh, I'll send you some because." She thinks it's actually softer. She said to me, I think it's softer than mohair.
Right.
And you know what? I think she's absolutely right. Normally, alpaca, I have a real issue with alpaca. I find it, there's a real prickle. But this one's lovely. I could wear this as a hat, which I would never normally do that with alpaca generally. This is a great alternative. It's super fluffy. It just reminds me of a teddy bear. I think I might use it actually to hold double and knit some kind of little toy for Bryony or something.
Cool.
Because I think it'd just look lovely. It'd look like a teddy bear. So thank you, Kelly, for that. It's really nice.
Anything else from you?
No, that's it.
Cool. So, lots going on. Actually, that mohair shortage. Do you remember when there was a shortage of Branston pickle? And they were like desperately searching around for another pickle?
No. Oh, yes, I do.
Yes, I think there was a fire in the Branston factory or something or other, and it was like a national disaster.
Yeah, and we tried a different brand, didn't
Wasn't
we?
particularly.
Yeah.
Well, no, we tried it because that's the one that the supermarkets identified as the one which could replace it for that short amount of time. Lots going on at the moment, folks. There is a glove knitting tutorial series in mid-flow. There's a mitt knitting tutorial series also in mid-flow for those that perhaps gloves is a bit too full-on and challenging. Don't miss our epic cup of tea visit.
Oh, yes.
Which was just absolutely, it was the business, mind-blowing when we spoke about that at the start of the show.
That scone was amazing.
Had the most amazing scone. And just go watch that because it just was, it was great.
It was lovely.
And that's it. We will see you in 2 weeks for the very last Bakery Bears picture show.
I get to choose.
Again.
I'm excited.
Oh,
that's good. I got 2 choices. You only got 1.
It's fine. Will we find a 5-star film before the series ends?
Oh,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Not this time of year.
No.
They don't release stuff like that this time of year, do they?
We'll see.
But,
So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Remember, happiness, it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
So get outside, help us with our Pyramid KAL.
Yeah.
Come inside, do a bit of knitting, and
everyone's happy.
Well, just take the decision to be happy, and you will be. Yes, because we did, didn't we? Didn't we?
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
No, you don't say.
Very enthusiastic.
Well, it's good really because we've gone from there.
That's true.
To there.
Yeah, that's true.
Just by making a few little tweaks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
See you in
soon.
2 weeks.
Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Knitting KAL, the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Knitting KAL, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which they're favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern, knit yourself a bakery hassle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in your oven, or maybe a shawl you'll want to wear. So sit yourself right down and watch Dan and Kay